So I was stumbling through videos on Facebook this morning, and I stumbled across a mom and dad who were talking about the suicide of their 15-year-old daughter. And I have to jump on, and I have to share this. I have to get it off my chest. I cannot stop thinking about it, and I need to talk to somebody about it. And I said, what better way than just to create a video that I could upload and hopefully bring awareness to this and maybe help other parents. So our daughter, Emmy, who you guys have heard me talk about a lot, has epilepsy, and she was diagnosed at 8 years old. And her epilepsy is controlled, but it's been a long road over the last 4 years, probably the summer that she hit puberty, and hormones and different things like that started taking, their toll per se. That is when we really started to see a difference, and the medication having to be increased. And with every increase of medication, the side effects of her cognitive abilities were slowed down. She was disengaged. She was depressed. She missed so much school. She was constantly sick. And I just remember during that time frame of having her say more than once that she didn't want to live anymore. In her mind, she was struggling so much and couldn't ever catch a break that she just felt like giving up would be easier than fighting. And the first time that she brought suicide to my attention let me back up. No, let me finish, because this needs to be said first. The first time that she brought suicide up was in a note that she brought down and let me read. And I read it, and it was basically like a journal entry, and why she wanted me to read it, I don't know, but she gave me the privilege of reading her journal entry. And in the entry mentioned suicide, and I lost it. I was so angry. I was so mad. And I just remember the way that she reacted to that. I told myself, if my children ever come to me again and they ever express this, I will not react out of fear or out of anger, but out of love and concern. And that's what I did when she said things to me like, I've thought about just walking out in traffic. I mean, what do you do? I mean, I felt so helpless, but I knew that I had to do something. And in researching, realized that as time goes on in adolescence, that a lot of the medications that Emmy was on, which are a lot of them treat psychological problems. They treat things like anxiety, depression. They're neurological medications. So a lot of them that treat neurological other things, treat epilepsy successfully. Well, one of the things that we learned was that the side effects of the medication that she was on as she got older would manifest itself in anxiety and depression. This couple that I saw on this video said their daughter killed herself, was a happy child, a loving child, did not have any depression. There was nothing going on in her life that would have pointed towards her making an impulse decision to hang herself in the closet. But her mom said she had mild seizure disorder, and she was on medication that would give her these thoughts. And we think that she had a moment and out of impulse, and she decided to kill herself, and she was successful. And I remember feeling like she would never do this. Like Emmy would never do anything like that. So maybe I don't need to worry, but I knew that I couldn't not worry. And so I got with the doctor, and I'm like, this medication, the name of the medication is zonisamide. She was on 400 milligrams of zonisamide daily and 100 milligrams of lamotrigine. And zonisamide is very common for cognitive delays and things like that. So she was struggling to keep up in school and struggling to focus and sleeping a lot. And she would just tell me, I wish I could just go to bed and just sleep all the time, because it was just easier to do that than to face things. And I understand that. Like, I've been there, right? A lot of us sleep when we're depressed. But as I listened to her, I realized, like, as a parent, I have to advocate for her. And I have to say, we have to do something. Like, this medication, is it even really working? Because now we're dealing with the adverse effects. And so it was just this, I told the doctor, I said, something is not right. Every time you increase this medication, she just gets slower and slower, and she gets less engaged, and she just has no quality of life, really. She's missing so much school. She wouldn't hang out with friends. And so expressing that to the doctor, being her advocate to say something is not right. And even Corey was like, I think it's the medication, April. And so back in June, we decided that we wanted to work on transitioning her off of zonisamide, and that would take some time, and we would need to know what her seizures even looked like. Was the zonisamide even helping? Well, we did the sleep study back in June and found out, sure enough, even though she was taking that medication, and the other one, which the lamotrigine has a lot of like less side effects, that was the least of our worries, right? And she had some room to move up on the lamotrigine, but not much room to move up on the zonisamide. And what we found out is the zonisamide wasn't helping, because she had 17 seizures in one night. So now we've got her seizing all the time, and taking this medication and getting depressed and sleeping and having these thoughts and these expressions of just wanting to give up and having no fight left in her. And so they said, and I remember God telling me earlier this year in church that he was going to heal her. I heard it so clearly in my spirit. And so when we saw that she had 17 seizures, I was so angry. I was so upset. I was so confused. But we found out too many seizures plus this medication equals a very unhealthy, unhappy child, student. Here is a medication that we suggest that you put her on, and we transition on that and then transition off of the zonisamide. And here are some kind of things to worry about with the other medication, which is called Depakote. But and within like 2 weeks, like we were seeing like so many improvements, and then she started like getting sick on her stomach. And let me just tell you, one of the biggest things that we did was we wouldn't allow her to speak curses over her life. And we encouraged her and almost pushed her to go to youth group, to spend time with friends, to come down and spend time with the family. Like, we tried to keep her from isolating as much as possible, because we knew that even though that felt like it was what she wanted to do, that isolating herself from everybody else was not going to help her, that she needed relationship, that she needed connection. And she started having some stomach issues in between. Come to find out, it was anxiety. But we have finally got to a point with her on the medication, working with the school to get her an IEP. And there's been so many people involved that we're now at a place to where my daughter is happy, and she has friends, and she's talking about her future. She's planning a future. And a year ago, she wasn't. planning on even living. We have to advocate for our children in the physical and in the spiritual. I had to do both, but I couldn't just advocate in the spiritual without advocating in the physical, and vice versa. When she expressed those feelings, I listened and I acted. I got her in with the social worker. I got her in with the youth pastor, whatever I could do to give her somebody to talk to besides me, and thoughts that maybe she might be more open. And thankfully, we never had to do like extensive counseling or therapy or anything like that. But a lot of these medications they put our kids on are totally messing up their psyche. And when we see things that we know aren't right, we have to question them. We have to notice, and we have to be involved, and we have to understand that they're not just kids with just thoughts. They are targets of the enemy. They are destinies and purposes that Satan wants to snuff out. And we cannot be so involved in our everyday to day that we discount or don't understand or fail to recognize. Now, I understand that not every parent has the opportunity to keep their child possibly from making a bad decision. There's nothing that I'm sure those parents maybe could have done. I don't know what their conversations were with the doctor or anything like that. All I know is that I realized today that God guided me so much through the last year on advocating for her. And what wasn't physical healing right now wasn't emotional. God was healing Emmy from the inside out, because essentially that is where the battleground was internally. And so now I don't have a child. I have a child who is not only passing school, but is excited. She is motivated. Hey mom, let's play a game. Like me and her played a game last night. Hey mom, let me ride with you to the store. She's not staying in her room all the time. She's not sleeping all the time. She's texting friends. She's going to youth groups. She's doing all the things that she should be doing, but that she had just been robbed of. All of us robbed of precious time. And so I know this video was long, but I just had almost like a video diary, I guess. I'm working and I just couldn't get it off my mind. And I just kept thinking, God, I am so thankful that you have given me this child, and you have given me the ability through the Holy Spirit and through your word to know when something is not right and to stand up against it, and to be able to say to Satan, she is not yours. And to be able to say to the doctors, something has to change, because we cannot continue down this road. Listen to your children. Don't react to them. Listen to them. Understand. You cannot talk them out of their thoughts. You cannot sweep it under the rug like it doesn't exist. Their pain and their suffering is our responsibility up until a certain point. I pray that this speaks to somebody, that this encourages somebody, that it maybe saves somebody. Some of the heartache that Corey and I have gone through, because it was tough last year. Earlier this year has been tough. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you in hopes that maybe it helps somebody.